I fully recognize that what we are saying is not that funny. But I'm laughing
it is right now.
Welcome to the show.
Oh,
What?
For a second, I was like, "Are we trying to improv game again?" Because last time
We could do
Oh,
that.
yeah, let's do it.
We could
Let's
do that
do it. Let's
for
do
what
it.
the show is.
Just
All right.
at this.
We're gonna.
I can't. I haven't even said an actual word yet, guys. Like,
We can sense it. We know
I'm
we're in
tongue-tied.
tune. We know what you're gonna say. Here we go.
I wish
Let's
that
do
were
it.
true.
All right, one word to introduce. So, we
Talk.
about. Anyway, we're biblically accurate Bigfoot. Welcome to the show where we discuss controversial topics with a biblical lens.
Cryptids.
Man,
and
dude,
conspiracies.
yes,
And
all of the above.
things.
Today we were waiting, so we started doing a thing. We're gonna try to do it consistently, but when we start recording, before we start recording, we're gonna go live on TikTok.
It was something.
It was fun. It was fun. Just to help promote the show, but also like, so if you listen to the show, we typically record on Tuesdays. That might change here in the next couple weeks for a little while.
Well,
Because we're having a baby.
yes,
We are having
One of the podcast hosts who you can use your
All three
detective
of
skills to figure out.
We are having a baby. One of us is going to do all of the work and delivering and the pain and all of the rest that goes with
caring
it.
for
But
it.
I still am going to have a
Sleep
baby at the end of the day.
deprivation.
So it's not like I'm not going to be a parent
I won't.
yet.
Phil
Yeah,
is not
not
the
from
third
this.
wheel.
We are not. I was going to say we are not hinting at anything. I
no.
like to make people feel awkward.
Done.
His face is turning red.
No, it's not. You don't need to lie to
It is.
people.
His
Hey,
face is super pink.
You're gonna start getting called out.
His
for
face
your
is like
shenanigans.
bright red right now. It's like the color of our biblically accurate.
You don't have the
Bigfoot
filter
sign.
on anymore.
They don't
There's
know
no
what that looks
camera.
like
They have to believe what I'm saying. That's the thing.
Yeah, but they're gonna stop believing when they start watching the lives. Your gaslighting days are over.
Probably not. All right. So today,
Try to do this in sync.
in sync, is that bye? Or is
Yeah,
that
that-
Backstreet
You
Boys?
started dancing.
Is that
Oh,
Backstreet
that's
Boys? Is
great.
that in sync?
No,
That's
yeah, it's in
not
sync.
Backstreet
Yeah, yeah.
Boys. All right.
Wait, hold on. Let's tell them what we're drinking.
Oh, I'm doing
So this is First Form.
First Form, not a sponsor.
It's gonna be hard to top Gorilla Mind. If this
Yeah.
is as good as that, I will be super hyped.
I would be surprised. Mine is Tropic Lightning.
And I have Blue Raspberry. Let's see if we can time this.
You should title this part
2,
too.
1.
That's like it's like
pretty
an
good.
echo.
Oh, it smells nice. It smells nice and blue raspberry.
Ooh,
It literally
this
smells like
smells-
blue raspberry Jolly Rancher.
Mine smells nice and
Smell
lightning.
it.
Lightning.
Oh, that does smell like blue raspberry. Mine smells like lightning.
Your energy drinks. Here's my drink.
Oh, that's actually really good.
That's really
You want to smell mine?
Yeah. Ooh, that does smell good.
It smells like lightning.
That is quite good.
That is
Wow.
pretty good. I really like
I'm
it. It's not
impressed.
mine.
You guys talk.
It's no
through
gorilla
my-
mind, but
you guys talk through my drink sound effect. So
do it again. Shout out to 308 Nutrition here in Shadron, Nebraska. They have sponsored. Well, they haven't sponsored anything, but they have sold us really good protein shakes after workouts and hydration drinks and caffeine.
I was
You're a
more
fan.
depressed than I thought I would be that we didn't get a go after our workout yesterday.
Dude,
Because that was a heck of a workout.
I had to get
Dude, my chest
taxes,
is
so
I know.
Yesterday, dude,
Did the
that
full
was a
tree on
decent
cable
workout.
flies. That was we hadn't done that in a bit. That was gnarly.
Kicked my butt. That was good. Also, what was the other business I wanted
I
to
thought
shout
I was
out?
going to talk about my drink, but that's okay.
Oh, talk about your drink. Do it. What are you drinking?
I am drinking the frosted berry
Have you had that one before?
hydration tea. Yes, it's one of my regulars actually.
I was like, I know she wants a hydration tea.
Okay.
And then, good. Sorry.
And thank you guys for writing John 3:16 on it. Super nice.
God so love the
Cool.
world.
Yeah.
When I went in, I was like, I'm not 100% sure what she wants, but if you tell me some flavor combos, I can decide whether she'll like it or not. And they were like throwing out combos. I was like, no, that sounds like something I would like, but not Courtney. And then that one, and I was like, that sounds good. Mm-hmm. So you like it?
Yeah.
Good. The other shout out, it was Fit 7. I did a poll on the board. It's the gym here in town. And I was like, vote if you want rock metal music in the gym. And then when we walked in and this was on Friday, and then we walked in on Monday, the gym was empty. And Phil and I walk in, and then both of us just like sensed a disturbance in the force. And then it dawned on us at the same time that there was metal music playing. We were like, what? And so then I
so good.
I drew some praise hands and thanked the gym owner for putting good music on. And then
we proceeded to not wear headphones and have the best workout we've had in months.
Oh, dude, gyms. If you own a gym, metal music, man. You just got it. At least hard rock. Anyway, it was phenomenal. Shout out to those two businesses that are local. They're amazing. They're good people. And they are not sponsoring us. We just love those businesses. But so for today, what are we talking about, Phil?
Pyramids.
In the ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet heeding the Maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear the call?
Oh, man.
If you had to choose two things that made us sound like stupid, crazy conspiracy, that would be it.
I don't know. I think our last
We talk
three
about
were
hypnosis and the pyramids.
At the same time.
I mean, it's just it's something that everyone can.
I agree. It does.
Man, I gotta start drinking a full energy drink before podcast more often, rather than waiting till we start.
Real, though. Oh my gosh!
I already had a girl before you came down.
So that's why I can't talk. That's why I can't even hear myself talk.
I plead the fifth monster of the day. Dude,
This is
Gorilla
why
Mind.
I'm taking a break.
What?
I said this is why I'm taking a break. I just can't.
I thought it was because of
can't
the
even
baby.
anymore.
My bad.
Nope, it's not. It's to take a break from you two babies.
Yeah, buddy. Oh my gosh. I fully recognize that what we are saying is not that funny, but I'm laughing.
It is right now. It is right now. The correct statement there is it should not be funny.
It shouldn't be.
It should not be
But
funny.
for some reason, it is
is
hilarious right now.
Which kind of sums up most of the things
My
that
life.
you and me. This is what we do. A professional comedian with content that nobody else finds funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I guess trying to transition a little bit. The news has been crazy lately, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it just seems like there's something new coming out, like, every day. Something like, okay, had it come out 5 years ago, would have been what we talked about for, like, a year.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just we're getting hit with so much stuff so fast that we talk about it for, like, 30 seconds. Nobody's even talking about the JFK files anymore.
Yeah. That lasted all of, what, 30 seconds?
We'll probably go into that a little bit just because we've found some juicy things. Some really cool things on the JFK files. And I want to dive into that a little bit, but man, we've been on. It's just like, yeah, we haven't
There's a lot
even
to talk about.
I feel like
haven't
we've
even
been in. I feel like the news has been like that for months, though, because it's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah, for
not
sure.
the first time we're saying this.
For sure. I agree. I feel like it's been like that for ever since the Florida, Miami thing, the mall. I can't remember what town that was in.
Miami.
Was it Miami? So the mall thing, I feel like ever since then, it's like there's just, and then the things that I want the things I want the news to talk about, they don't talk about. Like, they're not talking about the JFK files right now. They're not talking about the pyramid right now. They're not talking about the chaos documentary that just came out on Netflix. Like, they're not talking about this stuff.
Because they've all got their own agenda.
But they're talking about
Because the news isn't
the
the news.
president and this and that. And I'm like, bro, we're over that. We've elected our president and we've moved on for the next 3 years.
I don't know. When I vote for a president, I kind of like to keep tabs and make sure that he's going to do what he's going to do for the next, 4 years.
Right.
Or
that's
she,
why-
if that ever becomes a thing.
That's why
Yeah.
you're a more responsible voter than me.
Yeah. I pay attention to politics like I went to school. I binge for 6 months right before the election. And then I vote. And then I forget about it until midterms.
Phil, that burp just sounded like you let a bobcat in here or something.
I didn't even realize that's what that was. I thought you
There
were
is
trying to
so
do a
much
It wasn't.
background
Somebody
noise.
drove by with a subwoofer.
Dude, I know I'm super pregnant, but there has been so much background noise. I'm just like, oh my gosh, right now. So,
Dude,
so yeah, I think it's just because I'm pregnant and catching up on stuff. Like, that episode of Friends where,
No.
no, you don't. Yeah, but anyways. Well, Rachel goes in for her OB appointment. Ross is, and she's like annoyed at his breathing. Except I'm annoyed at the sound of my own breathing. Like I can hear my own breathing
Oh,
as
in
we're
the
recording,
mic, yeah.
and it is
See, I get this-
annoying the crap out of me.
I get the
would
same
say-
annoyance from Friends.
So,
Dude, I don't watch that show as much anymore.
so is that the episode where Phoebe has her brother's
No,
kids?
it's when Rachel's pregnant.
It's the
Oh,
one.
Rachel.
It's the
With
one where
Ross's
the
baby.
the stuff you did.
Wow.
Aren't the titles for the episodes the one where the thing stuff?
Yeah.
I can't
yeah.
talk. What's happening?
I passed it on to you, I guess. Sorry.
It's because you're ugly.
So what happened with her?
It's because she's pregnant.
Oh, those have the same effects.
Different genders.
So mine's terminal.
Yeah.
That's crap.
I was
I was gonna say, does that mean I'm ugly because I'm pregnant?
Well, that's what I was-
No, it just means you're pregnant.
I'm ugly,
You just called me
Exactly.
ugly.
and I'm proud.
Actually, quite the
Me
opposite.
ugly.
Quite the opposite.
I need my comfort drink now.
Yes.
Me too. I got called ugly. You just got called pregnant. That's just a fact. I got called ugly.
I
Is
didn't
that a
hear
fact?
this.
To be
Shut
fair,
up. Don't.
that
I
is
know where
also
you're
a
going.
fact.
I didn't hear you pronounce the letter C in fact, so it sounded like you just said that's a fat.
No, we talked about this. We're being nice today.
Okay.
Or I'm trying. I'm trying really hard. Tanner's making it difficult.
I'm not doing anything. I am just here.
Well, you bully me.
I always bully.
It's true.
It's my love language.
Yeah.
Aw. You must really love me.
I do joke around and say that it is my love language, but for real though, like for me, joking around like that is I won't joke with you like that unless I know that you are close enough that you can comfortably have the conversation without thinking that I'm serious.
Yeah.
And so if I don't joke with you like that, it means that either I have recognized we're not close, you can't handle it,
Or it's serious.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. One of the three.
That makes
And
you sound like such a jerk.
And then there's
I know, but the funny
Yes.
thing is, the people who don't get the brunt of my jokes think I'm a really nice guy.
Yeah.
That's the
and
irony
then
of
everyone
it.
else
And
just
then the
laughs
next-
along with you,
Yeah.
and they just wait and cry in another room until you're gone.
And then
Philip.
the next level of it is you deliberately try to confuse me as to whether you're serious or not. I know you do that. just to mess with me.
I do gaslight
great.
you. I
Oh,
will
yeah,
admit
I know.
that I
I know
gaslight
you
you. I do. I do.
The fun part
Now
is trying
turn
to
to
figure
me
out
and
when.
say that again.
I love you.
Wow. Wow.
No. There's only a handful of guys I gaslight. That's just because. I don't know. Just because the people who I'm
Are
the
you
closest
sexist
to.
towards guys?
I feel like, yeah, because I don't like guys.
What is happening?
I don't know. We are way off.
That's enough. No, stop.
I can hear myself breathing so loudly. This is not even funny. I'm so annoyed.
Quite
Just,
contrary. Contrary. It's hilarious.
Tilt your thing like this, up and down, maybe. Sometimes it catches your nose.
Talking about my burp, a freaking diesel over there.
Dude, okay, so I've been listening to podcasts on Spotify a lot lately, and the commercial, it keeps repeating the same stupid commercial, and it's literally somebody snoring, and then it's like, when you first wake up in the morning, you don't crave fries, you crave a breakfast sandwich from McDonald's. Bah, 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 bah. Like, that's the commercial. It's the most annoying thing.
Wow.
But it's like, so like they'll be talking about something serious, and it's like, you know, just like heartstrings serious, and then you hear, and you're like, what? And then you realize the commercial started, and it's, I guarantee if you're listening to this on Spotify, I hope that a part of me hopes that a commercial interrupted just right there, and it,
That would be
gosh.
incredible.
that'd be so amazing. If it did, let me know, because that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If you sound like that when you sleep, you don't need McDonald's. You need a sleep apnea
The
mask.
only
Pat
thing
machine.
I crave, Jordan.
I hope he hears this.
Oh, no. Don't twist my words like that.
The
mean.
only, I don't care. I had to sleep next to him at commission.
Let's not get into that. Go.
Jordan's like, oh,
Change
you think
subject.
you had it bad.
Change subject.
I was gonna say
If you-
the only
okay,
thing
join-
I crave when I wake up in the morning is going back to sleep. That's the only thing I crave.
Join the Patreon, and if you want to know what about
No.
the conference and more of that story, we will share it on Patreon, and that's, or not Patreon.
You're gonna have to
Discord.
Freedom of Information.
We don't have a
Act to get
Patreon.
that.
Get the pitch right at
We
least.
don't have Patreon yet, but join the Discord. If you join the Discord, that's the only place we'll share the rest of the story, or in person.
I want a
And
paywall
and
in front of that
and
story.
only if-
Patreon for that
If
story.
people ask, otherwise you better start making a list of things that you've put behind that.
There's a lot. We need to create a separate channel that is just episode things. So, and it's like, and we delete anything that's not. So, like when we say, "Hey, I'll post this in the chat," and I post it, we post it in the episode thing. So that way, if anybody wants to go back and look at the past stuff, it's not hard for them to find where we share it. Anyway,
Sounds like work that someone else is going to do.
me, and it'll take me like 5 seconds. Shout out to Red. He doesn't know how to navigate Discord. Did I tell you about that? He messaged me and he's like, "Hey, what happened to all the channels on Discord?" And I was like, "What?" And he sent me a screenshot. He had accidentally unclosed the drop-down menu.
Oh.
And I was like, "Bro, I'm like 10 years older than you." I gave him a little bit of crap, and then he's cool. Anyway,
Nice.
I didn't give him too much crap. Anyway,
Yeah, of
all
course,
right.
like that.
Yeah, dude. We should have Red on the show.
Yeah, we should.
Dude, hey Red, when you hear this, hit us up if you want to be on the show.
He's
at
already
some point,
mentioned it to me.
because we have to
phone
find.
buzzed.
We will do that.
Yeah,
Did
I'm
he
sorry,
hear
I'm on my
already?
phone. He's texting. I sense a disturbance.
It's like, you want me on the show?
Are you talking about me
you
right
hear
now
that?
at this moment?
He's planning. He's probably planted listening devices on our premises.
You know, if there's 2 people in our Discord that I would think capable of that, he's one of them.
Yes.
Who's
But-
the other one?
Right, monkey.
Literally, that's the tweet that I was.
You're
thinking.
correct.
You guys
That's
are
correct.
making a name for yourself.
Oh, shout out! Those dudes are amazing. They're in our Discord. We've gotten to know them decently. They're awesome. If you feel like you're missing out, and you're like, man, this Discord sounds amazing.
It is.
Shoot me a message. It's a lot of fun. If you don't have Discord, download it. It takes like 10 seconds. And if you don't know me personally, you can shoot us a message on Instagram. We have a Facebook profile. You can email us at biblicallyaccurateBigfoot@yahoo.com. Get in touch with us, and I'll send you a link to the Discord, and you can join it. It really is that simple. Just get in touch with us. There's no paywall. You don't have to pay for anything. It's all free. Eventually we'll probably have a Patreon, but right now, like our Discord, there's no paywall or anything like that. But yeah, join it. There's a lot of good conversation. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, so
Pyramid.
I keep
all of
thinking,
that.
who do I hear breathing? Guess what? It's me.
It's still you.
Every single time.
Oh man. So speaking of the news cycle, have you guys caught anything about the revelations with the pyramids?
Using the word revelations there was kind of misleading. Just saying, but
Maybe it wasn't.
yes,
Okay, but
the
yes.
discovery is yes.
Yeah.
I saw it,
hadn't.
and then I was like, "Oh, that's kind of weird and dumb. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be verified." And then boom, 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 boom.
I
boom.
hadn't
Oh my gosh!
heard
It blew up.
I did a deep dive.
anything.
And then boom, Joe Rogan, boom, like legit
It got
places
like a
are sharing it. And I'm like,
4-minute,
this is
yeah.
a thing, but I don't know too much about it now.
Yeah,
So,
it got a, yeah.
I hadn't heard anything until you mentioned it. Like, I asked you what our topic was going to be for this week, and you're just like, yeah, I think I might look at the pyramids thing. And then I got home, and within like a couple hours, I'd seen it like mentioned on like 5 different platforms. It's like, what?
Yeah.
the first video I saw, I was like, oh, this is kind of funny and quirky. Like, I'm gonna save this into my folder for content for pod and like just bring it up and stuff, and and then I'm like, oh, I guess like everyone believes this, so I guess this is actually true. So I guess we're going to be talking about this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm intrigued. I am. It's like Oak Island, but they actually found something.
It's like, yeah. So I guess let's just dive into it for a minute.
Tell me the things. I intentionally didn't look into it at all. I dodged it. I just wanted to hear what you had to say.
So I've been doing kind of a deep dive in this. Currently,
Imagine that.
the amount, what we do know is basically in 2022, there was a team that they went in with a SAR tech, which stands for Synthetic Aperture Radar. Yes, I don't know, APERTURE.
Yeah, aperture.
Synthetic Aperture Radar. And basically what this is designed for and what its like specialty is they go over it and they scan the ground, and it senses super fine details deep underground. And what they currently use it the most for, from what I understand, I just was researching SAR, and what it does is they use it for like volcanoes and underground magma chambers and stuff like that to sense.
They're looking for oil.
Oil drilling.
Yep.
Oil, and that's literally so the magma, they use it to sense when the magma chambers are starting to bulge, so it can sense differences within magma chambers deep underground.
Wow.
So if a bulb is growing or something is growing, so that's how they kind of predict. One of the main things they use to predict eruptions is they use the SAR technology in order to sense that the magma chambers are starting to move and bulb and grow and stuff like that. So it can sense the finite details.
Bulb.
But then,
Bulb?
yes,
Bulge.
bulge,
Become bulbous.
bulbous. But then but it's a fine resolution, and it sends out this grid, and they can see pretty like down to the detail kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then minerals, stuff like that. They use it to look for minerals and stuff like that. And so what this technology does is it's not like a LiDAR where it just scans and then get something back, because that can only go down so far because it's sending out a signal and coming back. What SAR uses is it takes a reading from the already existing like seismic activity that's going on and like the natural movement in the earth, and it then reads what is coming from the earth already and then reads that out. So it's not sending something down. It's just basically like receiving, from what I understand.
Sounds like Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where she's like learning her powers.
Oh, yeah,
Anyways,
for real,
I'm
though.
sorry.
But yeah, so it's basically like, so the natural tremors and rumblings and stuff that go on, it's sensing that. And so it can actually sense down to fine detail. And so what they did was in 2022, they went through and they got approval, and they flew over the Khafre Pyramid, which is the second tallest one, but I think it's the one in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Which when you look at a
Pick
picture,
on the middle child. Thanks.
well, yeah, when you look at a picture, the middle one always looks the biggest, but that's because the perspective, it's like 20 feet shorter than the big pyramid. But the big pyramid is always the last one, so it actually looks shorter in the pictures when it shows them. I'm pretty sure if I have them
only
right.
ever like take pictures from one side.
Pretty much, yeah, because then if they took it from the other side, you'd see the city. So they take it from the one side so it looks all
that
desert.
makes sense.
Because if you look up from the top,
I forget
the
it's
city's
that
like
close.
right there.
I forget it's that close to the
You
city.
gotta go for the aesthetic.
Yeah, because aesthetic. But so they scanned this in 2022 and they got the readings back. And they went through and basically deciphered the readings back then, and they came out with some not peer reviewed. They came out with some findings and stuff like that. Well, then, and back then they were theorizing based off of what they could see from the readings that there were these structures. And then they went through and with the advancements in AI, they went through and they fed it through an AI to come up with an AI depiction. Now, before we get into what it looked like, I want to go into AI for a split second on this. If anybody's listening, you're like, well, but that's just an AI thing. You know, how that could be a random thought process of AI.
Yeah.
AI has gotten insane. So Courtney and I, we ended up getting a Alexa device in our house. And the reason we got an Alexa device in our house is because somebody went through, and whoever this person is, you're dumb and I don't like you. But he went through and he put a video camera up next to and connected it to a Wi-Fi signal, that the Wi-Fi that goes through your house to power, to connect you to the internet, and fed it through and then plugged it into AI and had AI basically reading what the Wi-Fi signals looked like while there was video. And then eventually trained it to see what it was seeing using Wi-Fi. He then took the camera away and asked AI to reproduce it based off of what had been taught, and it can produce it to the centimeter of everything that is in your house. Basically, it visually can see everything in your house based off of your own Wi-Fi signal that it receives back. And so because of the fact, thinking through practically in that this was how many 2 years ago that they did that
At least.
with AI.
It's been a while since we talked about this the first time.
After I found that, I was like, you know what? We're just going to get Alexa because at least I get the benefits of having it in my house. If they're already spying on us using my Wi-Fi, might as well get the benefits of the ease of having a smart device in my house, because it was that groundbreaking. Yeah. So AI technology, so plugging it into AI isn't like they were like, hey, ChatGPT, come up with an image for this. No, they fed it through AI. And that kind of AI.
Quick sidebar on the topic of AI. That term gets thrown around so freaking loosely because it's not true AI. It's not actually intelligent. It's programs that extrapolate known data, and then it's become more refined over the years to the point that it can fool a lot of people into thinking that it's actual intelligence, but it's not actual intelligence.
It's artificial.
But
Whoa.
I hope you
got him. Continue.
But I think you have a point, Phil.
You do have a great point.
Forget.
You have a great point.
I start to forget, Yeah.
It's not
we
like
all
it's
have this thought process of what it's going to build into eventually,
Right.
So,
is this leaning? Is this way closer? Shut up.
That was a good one.
This way closer? I hate you.
I know.
Is this way closer to actual AI than what we've seen in the past? Is it getting pretty scarily accurate at extrapolating data into new information or really, really precise I don't know how you'd even put it. Like it's good at predicting. It's very, very, very good at extrapolating data and getting information based on that.
Yeah.
But
but
the data that it has to work with is enough at this point to be relatively certain of the accuracy of, like, back to the pyramids thing. Like, it's not like this is just, well, there's some stuff that seems like maybe it could be this, and AI turned it into something.
Right, it just ran
totally.
wild.
Yeah,
yeah. No,
that's not what happened.
No, it's a calculated AI model that they. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a very
That's
precise
solid
model.
point. Yep.
A lot. It's the organized brain that I wish I could have. And if they're already seeing the entire contents of our house with Wi-Fi, I would be like, hey, AI, could you help me find that thing in the basement?
Yeah, right.
that
where
I
is
lost because I'm like baby prepping. I can't find it, man.
Where are my car keys?
Where is it?
Dude, if
Hey Alexa,
you
find my car keys.
if you use AI frequently, because I use AI all the time for
Thumbnails.
everything. Like, I'm creating images, I'm asking for topics, I'm asking. I use AI a lot.
Sidebar.
And I asked AI to create a personality profile on me and share it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's creepy. Like, it was like, you like this, this, and this, and this, and it wasn't like fortune telling. It was like very specific, like, because you host a podcast about biblically accurate Bigfoot, you tend to, and I was like, yep, this is evil.
I think you've shared this.
I still love it. Yeah, I'm sure.
Did you? This is totally random, off topic, but did you mention to Courtney the AI image that I requested you come up with?
No, I did not.
What it was?
It was Viking Mafia.
Yo, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
It kept sending me an error message like, we can't create.
Wouldn't that be?
And I was like,
First off,
why?
dope name for a band. Secondly, I just really, really wanted to see
Or an energy drink.
Yeah,
Tanner's face.
Copyrighted.
Trademark.
I just wanted to see frickin' Ragnar in a frickin' like 3-piece suit with a suppressed pistol in one hand and a hatchet in the other with like Norse tats.
It was
braided
like,
beard.
supposedly there was a dude. I was in this way rabbit trail. There was a dude who was sharing on X that we would be surprised to the sheer number of computer servers, whatever it is, of AI models that are solely dedicated to reduce the racism within AI.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I was like, wow. Okay. All right, buddy.
Listen. Never mind.
No, we're good. Well, do you remember? Because when Google's AI kept making everything black, because it was like, show Jesus, and it would be black Jesus, and you'd be like, show a Viking, and it'd be a black Viking. And you're like,
so
that's not what. That's
is
not
that what's
Vikings.
going on at Netflix?
They're just using AI, the
my
old
gosh.
Google model.
Insert
Exactly.
script spits out
I
black
did-
snake.
I did see that they, because of the backlash.
We're not going to talk about
Well,
that.
no, because of the backlash they've been getting, they've started recasting.
No way.
That's what I saw. Yeah. I hope it was real. But yeah, that they got enough bad feedback, because like, come on, everybody was like, that's a dumb decision. Nobody supported that.
Okay.
And
why I
they
wonder
were,
if
so
it
I guess
was
they're
AI.
that dude lost his job and they're recasting.
I mean, I'd hate to be that guy, though.
Dude, just make him Dumbledore.
But then also, like... What?
You nothing. No.
Imagine being a black guy and you're you're acting and you're like, I'm auditioning for, like, name a character, and then they're like, yes, we've cast you. Yeah, who? Snape. What? The dude who's supposed to look untrustable?
I did 14.
What?
I did 14 auditions for 14 characters. None of them were Snape.
Right, like that
You
just,
cast me for
bro. I was like, all right, cool. I guess I'm running with this. Anyway, back on track.
I don't think we've been on track that much.
Pyramids.
So far.
Structures.
So they ran it through
SAR.
AI. Yeah. So AI is scary and continues to get scarier. So they ran it through AI and generated these images. They then, and this is just a research team. They weren't like, they're not doing this to try to get famous or anything like that. So they just they posted their findings on X and just in a nonchalant way, just kind of posted it.
Just like
They didn't
quietly
boost it.
dropped
Then
it.
they just they posted it.
This is
It was
here
like,
now.
Here's
I
our
can see it.
findings, and they posted it, and it existed for a while, and it didn't get any traction. It was it was going to get blown over because they did in 2022. They came out with their findings before they ran through AI, and basically their findings basically said the same thing as what AI ended up showing it. And it didn't get any real traction. The only person who I feel like talked about it was Graham Hancock. And if you guys know who Graham Hancock is, he's got a lot of crazy theories about Egypt and the pyramids and stuff like that. Look into him. He's got 5 billion podcast episodes. You can look into him. But he's the one who has always been convinced that the pyramids were a power source of some sort.
Oh, I saw people commenting about that.
But yeah. Well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
But
I figured.
But yeah, so then there's a dude. I want to give him credit. Joe something.
Mama.
Joe Rogan. Got me.
Nice. Air
That was
fine.
good. That was good.
Yeah.
But no, so Joe Rogan he was like 4 minutes of one of his episodes. He just played the clip from this guy's thing. And this guy's name is also Joe. But anyway, no, not Mama. I was waiting for you to say it again.
gonna say it.
But anyway, I want to give him credit, but he's basically he shares things like this, and he shared it, and then that is when it blew up because somebody who actually had followers and had a profile and then it all of a sudden went viral, and then people were like, well, that's how we know it's fake. And I was like, well, no, they released it, and then they did a 4-hour conference. They haven't dubbed it in English, but you can watch it, and the subtitles are in English. And I was going through the hearing, I guess it would be basically them sharing, and the subtitles are in English and they're kind of rough.
Wait,
and it's hard to.
so where was this research team from? Like, do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
I was just curious.
I can't remember,
My
but it's
assumption
not
was,
English.
hey, look at me, American-centric person who doesn't care about or acknowledge any other race, culture, country, blah, blah, blah. I just assumed they were American. It was an American research team. I'm incorrect,
Dude, I would
apparently.
bet Zahi Hawass would probably never let Americans do any of that stuff,
Yeah.
probably for
Yeah.
that reason. I bring up Zahi Hawass. If you don't know who that is, basically he's kind of the leading entity over the pyramids and Egypt, and he basically is kind of he's the barrier of if you want to do anything involving them as far as research, it goes
Yeah.
through him.
I
He has the final say.
I was wondering what obstacles there would be for that because, like, I don't know how long this SAR technology has been in existence, but it's like,
Yeah.
and then obviously it took a while for the news to break, but it's like,
Right. Well,
like
and
this is why we just don't let anyone come in and test and do any
Right.
kinds of tests and stuff like we were talking about with the Shroud and Turin too. Like,
yeah. Well, but that's the thing with Zahi Hawass. He has been proven wrong enough times that at some point, homie needs to like just have more of an open mind. But he is responsible for kind of the Egypt, like the theory that is out there that, oh, these were just graves and blah, blah, blah. And they were
Yeah,
to house
just
the
tombs.
dead, the tombs. And it was a few years back. And I remember this, but there was a chamber that somebody did like a LiDAR or something on it. And they found a hidden chamber in there.
I remember that.
And Zahi was like, no, this doesn't exist. This is all just hype political. This is nonsense. This doesn't exist. These guys are crazy. They're conspiracy theorists, all this other stuff. And then a few years later, they're like, no, actually, this is real. And then Zahi was like, no, it's not. And then eventually they were like, no, it most definitely is real. Israel is real.
We're in Egypt, actually. Thank you.
Egypt. Close. But anyway, he's like, no, this actually, and then eventually then Zai was like pioneering it as like, we found this, yay, and trying to get all of the like the credit for finding this thing. And he was a denier of it for years. Yeah, he's like, oh my gosh. But yeah, Zai was like, bro. He basically was like, I'm gonna take credit for all of this, and like, and it was
what a tool.
Yeah, but I mean, on one hand, you know, he's kind of responsible for like preventing crazies because there are, and this is kind of one of those
you can
things
do without being a tool.
Well, this topic is kind of like the alien topic. There's a lot of crazies out there that have theories about the pyramids and stuff, and in his job,
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean it.
Well, I mean,
I did,
he is.
but
he needs to calm down a little bit. But I agree with you. He's got some issues. But
Relax, Martha.
his job is to kind of protect it from the crazies.
Yeah.
But when you're faced with like clear evidence, like get out of the way. And guess what he thinks of all of this? Total garbage. He thinks it's all fake.
Total garbage.
But so let's get into what they found. So underneath the pyramid, they found these structures. They're huge structures. Basically, the first ones are 600 meters deep.
Oh.
600 meters deep. And they connect then with these basically like hollowed out rod spaces that extend 2 kilometers deep.
What?
2 kilometers.
Bro, that's a lot of sand to dig out of the way.
Instantaneously, that makes this the largest structure known in human. It's bigger than the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah.
Or what is it, Burj Khalifa? Is that the name of it? Yeah.
Or, yeah.
I
can't remember if there's an A at the end of Khalifa or not.
But anyway, it's bigger than that. And then at the very bottom, there's 2 boxes that are 80 by 80 by 80 meters, not kilometers, meters. 80 by 80, 80. And 4
ADHD?
Yes. 4 of the cylinders connect per box. And then extending up the whole length of the cylinders are these coil-like, it's basically a coil around it, which could be stairs. It could be, but it's empty space. So there's these coils that extend up these tubes. And so this is going down like what? 2,000 plus, or yeah, 2 kilometers plus is like, that's like a mile, isn't it?
2 kilometers. Yeah. It's like a mile and a quarter or something like that.
Yeah. I didn't do the math ahead of time, but it's a bit, it's a distance down.
Yeah. It'd be right at a mile and a quarter.
And so like, what do we know about this? Well, literally nothing, because we have these images, but we can begin to theorize what it could be. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we were joking around on the TikTok live talking about, well, maybe it was a giant fountain or something like that. But whatever this is, it extends down into the water table. It has to go past the water table.
Right.
So these things could be possibly flooded. And if they're not, how? You know, and you would think if they were flooded, it would show on the SAR where the line of the water table would be. Mm-hmm. Because they would be flooded up to that point. But and so I'd imagine that if they're showing that there's no deviation difference between above and below the water table, it would have to be completely empty still in these empty cylinders. You would think.
I just looked it up because I was curious. The Burj Khalifa is like 820 meters tall, so it's like more than double that.
Yeah, double, almost triple.
That is
size.
Insane.
So then the theories, now this is where the fun part comes into play. And I've got a few theories, and I just want to kind of rapid fire the theories because what we know, I just shared. That's what we know.
Right.
And I'll share an image in the Discord if I remember when we get done recording. They've released the official like AI rendering of what it would look like, and they posted it, and this thing's massive. Because it's like you got the little pyramid, and the pyramid basically sits almost like as a topper on top of these hollowed out cylinders that go a mile down. But yeah, I think it'd be fun to kind of like theorize. So So do you, what does your brain go to when you think of, when you picture this?
Dude, I don't like, that's so massive. I'm looking at a like rendering right now. It's huge. It's
Right.
insane.
Right.
And like that type of structure, I don't know, that the coils thing bothers, like that bothers me because if it was stairs, I don't know why you would need that many sets of it, right? Like
right.
the amount of effort to carve that out, to cut that out, to build that in is ridiculous. If it just leads to those chambers, like all of them lead to the same spot, or at least like multiple of the cylinders per chamber down there,
right?
Or like the cube, whatever that box is,
right?
So like I don't know why they would be stairs, and so like the thing that people have been talking about, like the possibility of it being like a power source, seems relatively feasible because that's something more like you would find in like an electronic thing.
Yeah, but you don't really find like hollowed out spaces like that in electronics, do you?
No, but
if it was like
I've also never seen a 2 kilometer high electronic device.
Right.
So I don't know what's in that.
That would be like, it would
what
be.
if it's a battery house?
It would be tapping into the Earth's energy or something like
or
that.
Or it's the other way around, and the pyramids originally had some sort of receiving thing from like the sun or space.
I could see that.
And that's what I'm wondering, if those chambers down there would be like a battery storage type deal, like a energy storage.
Right. That's what Graham Hancock's theory is, that it produced electricity. And the idea was, and if you think like biblically, this is again going back to my theory, is that this is a pre-flood structure. Mm-hmm. I've always thought I've thought the pyramids were pre-flood for a long time, but we'll go into a few different
communication tower.
We'll go into a few different things, but a Nephilim power chamber that they were trying to generate enough electricity in order to transport into a different realm, i.e. the heavenly realm.
Hear me out.
So they're trying to get from Earth back into heaven, and this was just a device for them to try to do that.
Think of it. Okay, so scratch my thought of that being energy storage / gathering. Say it's energy production at the base. And then what if the pyramids themselves are like a broadcasting, like a radio antenna type deal, but you've got enough power to pierce the veil into a different realm.
Right. I can see that. I also, one of the other things I think of is think about the sheer size and hollowed out nature of CERN. Mm-hmm. What if the pyramids were one of the original Nephilim CERN existence, trying to basically, again, if their design on CERN is to try to create a hole in order to pierce into the heavenly realm, and if that's what CERN is, I could see a structure like this trying to basically replicate that same like an early model of CERN from the Nephilim in the pre-flood. And what we're seeing now with like things like CERN and with AI is that Days of Noah technology just returning. Yeah. And that we lost it during the flood, and we lost and basically the flood would have shut it all down and destroyed anything that was down there.
Maybe that was the main point.
Maybe. Another theory is that it was, so when they were warned that the flood was coming, God gave them 120 years. You know, their days are numbered, gave them 120 years. And what if this was the Nephilim's attempt at creating something that would store their information, almost like a library kind of thing,
right,
on stone tablets or whatever, and they buried them clear down there in order to attempt to try to preserve their wisdom, so that at a later date and time, when we became advanced enough that we could access them, that all of a sudden we would have the tools to destroy ourselves again in an attempt to try to long con the process.
Let me throw a really wild one out there. What if that's trying to restore the communication between peoples after Babel?
How?
I don't know.
Okay. I was like,
that's as
I'm
far
intrigued.
as that theory goes. That's as far as that theory goes. You develop it as you please. But Theory is a strong word for that thought, but just as far as like the purpose of said thing, because that's what we're talking about, is not because there's no way to really come up with a fully formed theory on this, because we don't know enough about it. But if we're firing off ideas, possibilities for like what the reason for the existence of these structures is, that's as far as I got with that. I just want to participate. I don't have any other theories. I'm coming up with these on the fly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you know, kind of going into maybe a different timeline of that this was created using the Jewish slave labor, you know, back in the day, and the pyramids were built by the Jewish, the Hebrew, you know, that narrative. Mm-hmm. Maybe these were built by them as well. And when you think about that time period, there's kind of something interesting if you think about it. Like, so thinking about the magicians, and one of the things we always talk about is that they weren't able to perform all of the miracles that that God was able to do through Moses, right? They weren't able to replicate all of the miracles that God did at that point.
Right.
But they were able to replicate quite a few that are like, how?
Yeah.
So what if the magicians, quote unquote, were really just tapping into that Nephilim realm?
That's where you're going. Yeah.
Okay. Now think of this. All right. Fun fact. You remember our episode on the giants of Kandahar? Mm-hmm. So, little known fact that the mummies of Ramesses II and many other pharaohs actually had red hair. What if the pharaohs were Nephilim and the magicians were basically the same thing, tapping into that old knowledge, trying to replicate the old knowledge of stuff? You Googling it?
No, I'm Googling something else entirely, but it's related. Keep talking.
Because the Egyptians at that time perceived red hair as being godly. What does that sound like? Bro, that sounds like the giants of Kandahar. That sounds like all of the weird conspiracy theories we've kind of come into, that there were a line of, possibly could have been a line of Nephilim. And why God was trying so hard to, you know, free his people and stuff like that and get them far away and all of that, trying to protect the lineage of the Jews away from that of the Egyptians. And it is just interesting that they had red hair, you know? And so maybe the magicians were kind of playing into some of that stuff. And so maybe some of this is actual like old earth, you know, if you get into like the Book of Enoch and the Watchers and the quote unquote gods with the little g, which would be the fallen angels, basically,
right.
the people who were, they were supposed to lead us, but they ended up wanting worship and all that stuff. If you buy into that thought process in line, you know, what if they actually did have the technology to do stuff like this that we can't fathom, and they did create this, and really the creation of this, it could have been for anything, but it would be for the ultimate purpose of pursuing the Nephilim process.
Yeah.
In trying to to try to bring back to life, maybe traverse through time, maybe energy, maybe a beacon, like you said. Maybe it's because they talk about how there's a weird energy above the pyramids, because pyramids produce a weird energy. What if this is just an extension of that? And, you know, I mean, and if you don't buy into like the biblical narrative, what if this was aliens who can see in a different realm of sight than we see, because we see wavelengths of the sun. Right. What if they could see different wavelengths or different sound? Maybe they could see things.
Ask
and
the
basically,
Ask the mantis shrimp.
Oh, gosh.
Hold a mantis shrimp up in front of the pyramids and see what it sees.
But maybe it can see. You know, maybe this is something where maybe a different species of aliens could see it, you know, shooting a line through the universe, because it just is tapped into the Earth's energy. And the last thing I want to talk about before we transition.
Do you want to?
Thinking about like, okay, maybe it was like a computer housing style thing.
Right.
And kind of in the library, like think about like, okay, if an EMP blast hit Earth right now, it would be the equivalent, like, and I'm talking like Earth ending EMP blast, not like a localized event. Like it hit the whole Earth. I feel like that would be an equivalent for, let's say, 2,000 years in the future of what the burning of the library in Alexandria was, of just the sheer amount of lost history that would happen if a massive EMP blast hit that. Well, now think about what a global flood could have done. What if this was, and kind of going back to the idea of what if this was an attempt of pre-flood attempt to try to preserve history.
Yeah.
And so they dug down as deep as they possibly could in order to create this existence, and then just wanted to ensure that this would be found in the future. So they kind of overdid it a little bit with the 8 columns.
Hey, here's the marker for that.
And then here's the top, and it's and the pyramid was the tallest structure on Earth for as long as it existed, from when it was built until the Eiffel Tower existed.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years that it was the largest structure on Earth, man-made structure on Earth.
Yeah.
And so, just kind of like, look here.
Right.
There's things here. In an attempt to try to preserve the information that is in those little boxes in the bottom. But now here's where, so the thing about the SAR is it does have a limit on how far it can sense things. Those boxes are at about the very furthest limit that they can sense. There could be more.
Yeah.
What if, and this is something I don't necessarily buy into, but we got to talk about it. Hollow Earth theory. What if there is aliens, instead of them coming from outer space, what if they come from inside the hollow Earth? Because they, at some point way long ago, and this isn't a biblical thing, this is just and this is part of the reason I don't necessarily buy into it, but they were trying to escape something, maybe like a global flood, and it sent them into the Earth, and they found that there was actually hollow. Or at least a hollow space that existed.
Right.
And now we start getting into, think about like Bigfoot.
Well, I was going to say.
And the missing 411 and all of the association with caves.
Right.
Leading off into deep crevices of the mountains. What if they're all connected? And this is literally a portal, and then it's basically a entranceway into that system.
Right. The deeper spaces. The
deep Earth space. And this was just them or their attempt to get there.
Yeah.
Even.
Well, and we already talked about like Leviathans and stuff like that, like all of the ancient creatures and things that we no longer see today. And we kind of already talked about the possibility of them being in an area that we just can't get to anymore.
Right.
Maybe that's all just post-flood stuff. And maybe all the pre-flood stuff that we don't have anymore is down there. Who knows?
Right.
And maybe that was the only entrance back out for a long time. And maybe now some of that stuff has started to reemerge from other areas too. And maybe that's why we're seeing stuff like the UAP stuff and things like that. Because that, transverses media extremely, extremely efficiently in ways that we can't.
Yeah. Or what if the ancient Egyptians knew that that's where those were coming out of, and then they built the pyramids over the entrance in order to try to stop them from coming back out into the outer atmosphere? And that's why they went through such great lengths to find literally the biggest, heaviest objects they possibly could to build it. The theory. But I want to know if this is, so if this is what's underneath one of the pyramids, I want to know, is this under all of the pyramids?
Right.
Is this, now think about the other pyramids on Earth. Yeah,
I was wondering about
all of
that
the pyramids on Earth. Are what's underneath the pyramids in South America, in China? What's underneath those pyramids? If it's the same thing, no matter what, if this is real and this did sense something that is legitimate, this changes human history, period. Yeah. No matter what it is. Yeah. Whether it's electricity, whether it's a library, whatever it is, it changes human history. If it's real, it changes human history. And if
changes what we know about human history.
Changes how we view it. Yeah, that's a solid point. But the problem is, I think that Zahi Hawass, I don't think he's ever going to allow them to do something like this again. Yeah. There's not a chance. So now we almost have to hope, because he's not going to let them excavate to even see if this is real.
I wonder who's getting hypnotized to unalive him right now.
Right. But they've got to do this under other pyramids that are a little more open to excavation. Because think about how much they blocked the Göbekli Tepe. They'd shut it down, and they're only excavating tiny little bits. Although they did update on that, they did tear out the olive trees. They replanted them, so they took them out. They moved them to a different area, so that's no longer in risk of destroying the Göbekli Tepe. But think about like how they blockaded that. There's no way they're going to allow them to excavate this. And now that's the other question is if they haven't already excavated it.
Right.
Maybe they already have, and that's how we have things like computers and AI and all this stuff, because maybe there was a chamber down there and it was steps going down. They excavated it. And because look at history, okay? This is just another theory of mine. I literally am coming up with this as I talk right now. So history, human history, we go from riding horses to riding horses with a buggy to riding horses with a bigger buggy over a period of thousands and thousands of years. That's how our technology evolves.
1800.
And then we hit 1800. When did we discover the pyramids and start excavating them? Right about that time. And then we skyrocket, and all of a sudden, boom, now we have these. We have lasers.
Doc,
we have
lasers.
The technology. They just built a supercomputer.
I was going to say,
all this other stuff. There's AI that can create images of a Bigfoot with red hair, a mullet, and a hat that I can put in any position I want, and AI will create it for me. It takes 10 seconds.
I am currently holding a 3-inch by 5-inch by 1/4-inch brick that has the computing power to talk to pretty much anybody in the world, access all of human history's information that we know of. And it, this has like way more computing power than something that took up a whole building 50 years ago.
Yeah. So what if they have excavated it and it is technology and they found it?
The X-44 Manta and the X-47, whatever friggin'
they found it
that was
100+ years ago. And have been backwards engineering everything that they found. And they just continue to grow and advance as they figure out more stuff about the engineering of the things they found down there.
The more we find of this type of stuff, the less crazy the ancient aliens guys.
I know, dude.
Like, you're not crazy. You just went down the wrong
if
wrong
he'd have been
fork
like,
on this road.
If he'd have been like, instead of aliens, it'd have been like demons.
Yeah.
Bro, right now, he's sitting on top of a throne.
I hope he gets his flowers before he dies. I hope he gets to like have the satisfaction of
Graham Hancock right now, he's been claiming that the pyramids were a power source for decade.
Yeah.
Right now, and he's been saying there's stuff underneath it for a decade. He's
like, I know let him on it. They didn't give him a whole show on the History Channel just to meme him.
And that's true.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just wanted to have that satisfaction.
But he has been treated he's been the source of so much. They were trying to tell him that he was racist because he dared to understand the pyramids more.
Hilarious.
Ironic. It's ironic.
What is wrong with us?
Meth.
No.
I had a family member who was MK Ultra. That's what's wrong with me. Just kidding.
Okay, what's my excuse?
Meth.
Help. Okay.
but no, yeah.
Cop,
so
by the way,
that's scary. I love you. All right. Okay, but yeah, Graham Hancock, dude, like he's been saying this for a while, which actually. That's part of what makes me believe in this even more is that there's people who have been claiming that this existed for a long time. And just with the nature of Zahi Hawass and how they've treated it and how they like lie about it. And dude, Zahi Hawass has gotten in trouble for stealing copper wires out of the pyramids and stuff. Like that's one of the biggest alleged things is that he straight up was like stealing stuff out of the pyramids and not to profit.
So what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him is meth.
Yes. But I think it is. It is exactly.
Stealing copper.
Yeah.
That's what meth heads
what they
do.
To sell for money. But that's the thing. He's not selling it. He's storing it in order to preserve the narrative. And the narrative is this is just a tomb. If it was a tomb, maybe there and maybe let's go with the
Maybe they had LAN parties.
Well, let's go with the Stop it.
I will not.
That was great. But let's go with the it was a tomb. This means that and people have been doing experiments with like fruit and stuff and putting it over like pyramids and high quartz, low quartz, that kind of stuff over pyramids. And supposedly the energies of it, like the pyramids, and this is, you can look up the experiments on your own, but supposedly when you store like fruit above a pyramid, like made out of quartz, they don't expire as fast and they're longer preserved and stuff like that. So if this is the preserved and it was a tomb, then these people knew some things about preservation at a level that we can't fathom. And maybe they were trying to preserve their pharaohs who were red-haired and they perceived them as being gods. And they were trying to preserve them, and they were pulling out all of the stops to try to preserve them in hopes that maybe they came back to life.
Maybe they were instructed
maybe they were instructed to do so. Who knows? But that would be on a level that we don't even understand today still.
Peasants, put me in a pyramid when I die.
Right.
Why? Just do it.
Do it.
Okay.
But yeah, and so one way or the other, it doesn't really matter. It could be any of these things. It could be none of these things. The sheer fact that these could exist, and I will put it that way, that these could exist, because they'd have to excavate them in order to prove it. But that's the problem.
There's evidence that this exists.
Right. That there's
However
even the
small you think
possibility
it is.
that this exists. If it does exist, it changes all of that. And we start having to have a very real conversation about how smart the people of the past were.
Educated.
How technologically advanced they were.
Yes.
And their technologies might have looked different than our technologies, but their technologies were advanced. And maybe they understood things at a level like iron rots, so let's use stone, at a level that maybe we don't see the longevity. And think about this, prior to the flood, they were living 1,000 years. What if things like, they don't want to build out of things like iron and stuff like that, because in their lifetimes, they've seen those structures crumble and cripple or whatever and decay, or those swords or whatever, the bronze, and they've seen those cripple or whatever. Yeah. And because they lived so long, stone was the ideal building material because it has the length of time. And so they tended to build when they could with stone rather than with more destructible materials. I don't know. I'm literally just spitballing out of my backside right now.
I don't know how much the science is sciencing there, but who knows? Maybe there's something to the stone that we don't know.
Well, I mean, bro, they're saying these are 3,000 years old.
Yeah.
Imagine if let's say the Eiffel Tower isn't being maintained for the next 3,000 years, what's it going to look like? It's not going to be in as good a shape as the pyramids
Real
are.
rusty.
And so the people of the pre-flood lived a third of that time period. And so they would have been able to see what happens to those objects. That's kind of where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, now
No, I know. I wasn't
speculating.
Yeah. But
Anywho's, we didn't make it to hypnosis.
Yeah, we did not. That's all right.
We'll get hypnosis next week.
Yeah, that's all right. We've got.
We'll connect it with the Jeffka.
I've got some plans with
Phyllis.
that, but yeah, that's and so to kind of wrap up this with the pyramid stuff. This is all just fresh. This is a couple weeks old.
Yeah.
They haven't even. They're planning on doing a hearing in English in the next couple weeks, and the last one was 4 hours long. I will probably consume that material when it does come out, and we might have to do a follow up. Whatever, because I've just going through the subtitles. How much of that information I'm taking in is pretty small, but there is alternative sources on the internet that have been able to go through and regurgitate this information, who are experts and all this sort of stuff. I would be looking out for Graham Hancock. I would almost guarantee he's going to be on the Joe Rogan show again in the next few weeks, because him and Joe are good friends anyway.
Yeah.
And Joe's podcast is the number one media source that exists right now. And even Joe was talking about him being like, we got to get him back on and talk about this because he's got to be so excited. And and so I would bet that would be a phenomenal episode when it does drop. So keep an eye out for that. I don't know. I'm not confirming or anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just would bet money that Joe Rogan would probably try to flex him on in the next few weeks if he could.
Yeah.
But anyway, outside of that, just let's keep talking about it. What are your theories? If you have a good theory, join the Discord. Share it with us.
I know Red's going to have a theory. I know he's going to. And
I
it's
hope
going
he
to be
does.
good.
And I hope
know
it's
he will.
different than anything I've thought of, too.
It will
'cause
be. I know him.
It's a weapon of mass destruction. What if the pyramids caused the floods in a weird roundabout way?
All right.
That they dug too far and they tapped
Nephilim dug
into
too greedily and too deep.
They tapped into the
firmament?
waters below.
Bro.
And
It was a fountain. Just unintentionally.
bro,
I like it.
I like it. Anyway,
Except God caused the flood
yeah, he did.
on purpose.
But God is a God of practical too, in that he sometimes predicted things that happened, quote unquote, in the natural, because
Didn't it rain?
like when he talked about, you're
could
going to
have
be
been-
taken over by Babylon. That still took Babylonians coming and capture
Right,
him. God
right,
didn't
right.
create Babylon in order, he didn't create them from scratch and just like,
Right.
we're going to appear them. They're going to take you
didn't
over and
send
move
them.
it.
Yeah.
He knew it was going to happen. He allowed it. And so therefore then predicted it. And so what if they were tapping into something they didn't know about and God knew about it? And he was like, I'm going to warn you guys. You guys need to stop. You need to stop. Otherwise, I'm going to flood the earth. And then they didn't listen and they continued to disobey and water table rose. The other alternative, and this isn't one we didn't talk about in depth because I don't really buy into it a whole lot, is if the water table pre-flood was lower, it's possible this could have been a building rather than underground. And that...
I had thought of that a little bit.
But the problem is that an entire 2 kilometers worth of
and also
additional stuff.
getting the bricks for the pyramids that high.
Right.
I don't know what their tech looked like, but that would be that just seems
Think about what their tech looks like now.
But regardless of the technical ability to,
yeah,
it seems unnecessarily
that'd
be some crazy structural engineering stuff. I'm not saying it couldn't, but I'm just saying
right. And
I'm dubious.
I'm still not convinced that the pyramids weren't the Tower of Babel.
I thought of that as well off rip, but I was like, yeah.
And the Tower of Babel, I'm not saying that it was the whole structure was a tower, that the actual pyramid was the tower, but that what they were doing was they're tapping into something that ultimately God was like, they're too advanced. We gotta, and that's the thing. They were too advanced.
Yeah.
We're not too advanced now, because otherwise he would separate us again. But they were too advanced then.
Right.
That means at the very least, we're at least a little bit behind where they were.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. But anyway.
All right. So let us know. Were the pyramids, were they the spiritual radio towers or ancient super soakers, accidental super soakers? Let us know your thoughts in the Discord.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Seriously, just 5-starring us makes a big difference. Liking the episode makes a big difference. And then if you make it this far, share it with a friend. Even if that friend already listens, when the algorithms see that you listen to the whole show and then you share it, they boost it. And so the show gets boosted. Little things like that you can do to help us. Don't cost you anything. You've already listened this far. Might as well help us out just a little bit. Take an extra 5 seconds. Outside of that, we love you guys. We thank you so much. You guys are amazing.
Later,
And
BAs.
keep being BA. Bye.
In the ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet he the maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the to hear the call.